So I have a simple question for the audience and a simple question for you. Are the Chicago Bears in crisis?
Are the Chicago Bears in crisis?
They're 4-3.
Yeah.
Better than they've been in a long time.
Uh-huh.
They have a young quarterback that everyone I've talked to, whether it's Tom Waddle, Alex Brown, Olin Kreutz, I listen to Yurko, my own two eyes, and then guy I went to college with who's still working in the NFL. He said, dude, I'd still take him number one over Jaden Daniels. That kid's a stud, and you're going to find out you have your franchise quarterback. So things in certain areas trending up. Young roster, you got a lot of talent, yet you're 4-3 coming off one of the most disgusting losses in my long history as a Bears fan and for many of you out there. So are they in crisis?
So I think
if there was a crisis hotline, should Matt Eberflus be calling it?
I think Matt Eberflus should be calling LinkedIn. Which you don't do, you update it online. I understand that, but I wanted to make a LinkedIn joke. So I think if you're waking up today and you're looking and you see the alert that the Vikings trade for a left tackle, they give up a conditional 4th-round pick. I think if you're still upset, and it rightfully so, the way the game ended and the way some of the play calling went on Monday, or on Sunday, I mean, and then if you hear Matt Eberflus's interview with you and Jay Hood on Monday, and him continuing to double down and triple down on his mistakes in the game and not take accountability, and you see the players coming out and not really, throwing him under the bus, but questioning his decisions and talking about how the team is, feeling themselves and they need to respect the game from Cole Kmet. You also see today, and it's not a big deal, but if you are looking at it from, the quote, are they in crisis? The Bears normally have a portion of their practice today. It's usually a full practice on Wednesday, and they didn't cancel it, but they're making it a walkthrough and closing that walkthrough to the media. Matt Eberflus will still meet the media. Caleb Williams will still meet the media. Today around 12:25, you'll hear that with Shea and Yurko. Shea is in for Carmen because he's sleeping right now, as you said. So I think if you look at it that way, it's very easy to say yes, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say no, and I'll tell you why. No. And there's two words why. Caleb Williams. They have their quarterback. What I've seen from Caleb Williams so far, the progressions that he's making, and I know Sunday was not a good game, but if you look at it,
it's a great fourth quarter. He led you on 3 scoring drives.
3 scoring drives, and if your coach didn't make a dumb play call or didn't veto a dumb play call from your offensive coordinator, they score 21 points.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he led you after having, because I've watched enough Bears game in my lifetime. You've watched 1,000 more. Not really, but you know what I mean. And normally that game ends with the Bears scoring like 6 points on 2 field goals, right? Trying to field goal their way to catch up. Mm-hmm. We've seen it with Trubisky. We've seen it with Fields. We've seen it with countless other quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. The Bears have their quarterback. And I do think if Matt Eberflus does lose his job at the end of the year, this is going to be the most desirable job in the NFL.
Oh, there's no question for that reason, but still in all.
You have a top 10 defense still. They didn't give up until the Hail Mary any touchdowns to the rookie of the year and the next great quarterback in Jaden Daniels. So you have a great defense. A lot of those guys are locked up for the foreseeable future. Mm-hmm. Your offense, your weapons are locked up besides Keenan Allen, but we kind of assume, he might be on his way out, which is why they have Rome Odunze. They've got Cole Kmet. They just gave an extension to DJ Moore. To me, it's not crisis mode. It's not Browns bad. That's crisis mode. It's not Cowboys bad. That's crisis mode. It's not, look at the Rams. Look at the Panthers. Look at the Patriots. That's crisis mode. Well, I don't think they're in crisis mode because the hardest thing to find in sports is a starting franchise quarterback. And I believe, and you believe, and what people are telling you, they've found that guy. Now you have to find the coach to get that. It's like when people were saying, will the Chargers trade Justin Herbert? Will the you know how hard it is to find Justin Herbert? It's so
And that's
much
why
easier.
all those people that were saying that, it was just dumb.
It's so much easier to find a guy to coach Justin Herbert than it is to find Justin Herbert. So it's so much easier to find a guy to coach Caleb Williams than it is to find Caleb Williams. They just have to do that. Whether it's Ben Johnson, whether it's Bobby Slowick, whether it's whoever it is, you have to find the right guy. Matt Eberflus isn't the right guy. So no, I don't think they're in crisis mode just yet.
Okay, so I think you can be in micro crisis mode, macro not.
Oh, well, now we're adding little caveats to it and everything.
Yeah.
You're either in crisis or you're not, Cap. Pick a side of the fence. Whole ass one thing. Don't half-ass two things.
You can be in micro crisis mode because they've got veteran players in here that believe this team is good enough to get to the playoffs and do damage. I've asked them. Kevin Byard has said that. Mercedes Lewis has said that. But macro, you're not in crisis mode for the reasons you just articulated. You got the young quarterback. You've got a young first year with the Bears running back. You've got DJ locked up. You've got Roma Dunze. You've got a lot of talent, like Cole Kmet, a lot of talent on this roster. I just believe and I had multiple players say to me in the offseason, I was telling this to Waddle. I was talking about this with Sylvie, that, dude, we play for Eberflus. He holds us accountable in the room, good guy. And so they're cool with him. But I think that loss on top of three others where you had a 90% chance to win is going to send off alarm bells to his bosses. Can we get where we want to get to with that guy? And if you look back at the 2014 Cubs as a blueprint, the last half of that season, I believe they finished 37-23, something like that. They were one of the better teams in baseball the last half. Mm-hmm. And they finished like 73-89 for the year. They were coming out of 101 losses in 2012 and 99 losses in 2013. And the progress was definitely on the upswing. And then you looked and went, oh, wow. Bryant and Baez and Russell and young Rizzo and all these guys here. And Theo Epstein sat in his office with Jed Hoyer, and they said, wait a minute, who just hit the market? Joe Madden has an opt-out. Well, we've committed to Ricky Renteria, and we've got him under contract. He's a good guy, and he's gone through the growing pains with us, and the guys like him. And I was told one time when I was interviewing Theo and Jed for some TV thing, and they said, other than your family, leave the family part of it out. When you have a job in pro sports, your loyalty has to be to the logo on your chest. You have to do what? Does that decision do the best thing for the franchise? You got to leave the personal stuff to the side. So while Poles and Eberflus have been in lockstep and Matt bought in that we're going to be horrible, but I'll be right there with you and I'll be positive every day, and he's been that. Mm-hmm. He showed up in a 3-14 season when he had no chance to win, none, and showed up every day with a smile on his face and roll up our sleeves and let's go to work and try to get better today. And last year, the same deal when they started 0-4 and ESPN saying most likely coach to get fired is him, and none of it mattered. Now you have talent, and you have that guy at quarterback. And his bosses, Kevin Warren listens to the station. Kevin hears what we say, what the fans say.
Good morning, Kevin.
Kevin, hope you're having a good drive up to Lake Forest. He looks and goes, can that guy get me where I want to go? Because my goal when I came here is A, win the Super Bowl, B, get a stadium deal. It's a lot harder to convince politicians to get behind your plan when your team is a laughing stock right now for what happened.
I don't think they're a laughing stock. For what happened, sure.
Adam, have you watched every show on national TV? Bill Cowher called out Eberflus. He never calls out coaches.
Okay, Matt Eberflus is a laughing stock.
That, by extension, makes the team.
I don't think so. Because look, last year, at this time, this team was 2-5. And they were about to get their ass kicked by the Chargers and then lose to the Saints. They were about to be 2-7 at this time last year. And we didn't think they were. And did you think they were in crisis mode then?
No, because they didn't have Caleb yet and they hadn't evaluated.
They're 4-3. Technically, they still have a shot at this.
Oh, no question.
Now, it's not a huge, but crisis mode is saying tear everything down, start trading away assets, do what the Jaguars are doing. We're not the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence might not be the guy. Caleb Williams right now looks like the guy. And if you have that, and you have your defense, and you have all these guys locked up, get a good coach. That's all you need. That's it. Get a new coach. And this team has 2 more wins at this point. And we're talking about a team that is 6-1 maybe. There's a difference. There's a huge difference between being in crisis mode because we're still mad about what happened on Sunday. But what happened on Sunday doesn't mean you start trading away, DJ Moore, who you just re-signed, or trading Montez Sweat. Start burning it down. You're not doing that. That's crisis mode. The Jaguars wake up today, they've got 2 less players because they're starting to have a fire sale. You're going to see more teams doing it, or 1 less player, sorry. Deontay Johnson traded 2. The Panthers, crisis mode, right? There's a lot of teams in crisis mode that aren't the Bears. The Bears are not in crisis mode. They need a new head coach. They absolutely do. But they're not, they're in right now, they're like in this bad middle place where you can't really add enough to make yourself a playoff team by the end of the year. 1, you don't have the cap space, and 2, or you could move the cap around if you wanted to, I guess. And 2, I don't think you're going to add anyone who's going to be available. Anyone that's going to be available that's going to be added is going to put you over the top and make you an instant playoff team and make you go 7-3. Like, I don't think there's a player out there that's available. Max Crosby's not available from what we've been told by the owner of the team. So you're not going to get Max Crosby who's going to instantly give you a 7-3 record in the last 10.
What about Micah Parsons? They can't pay everyone in Dallas.
I understand that, but I don't even think Micah Parsons gets you to 7-3.
Okay, so I think we're looking at it the same way. I'm just telling you, crisis mode micro for the rest of the season. Boy, you had a chance to be 6-1. 5-2, the worst.
Absolutely.
4-3, that's not good. Macro, I'll roll with this team going into next year, and I'll roll with Ryan Poles. I'm all in with that dude. But if the phone rang and it was Jerry Jones, he is the GM of the Dallas Cowboys.
Look, if you can make a move for someone like today, the Cam Robinson deal, right? It's for a player who is a
final year of his deal.
Final year of his deal. It's a conditional 4th-round pick. The Bears don't have a conditional 4th-round pick. You're not a Cam Robinson away from making the playoffs.
Right.
Now, if you can add someone like Micah Parsons, absolutely you do it. But to wake up and people be like, oh, they're in crisis mode, I just don't think they are. You have the quarterback. Right now, we all think he's the guy. There might be people that don't think he's the guy. And if you don't think he's the guy, please, 312-332-3776. But to me, he's the guy. The improvements he's made week to week show me that as long as you get the right head coach in here, this can be fixed. And we talked about making the improvement from last year when they won 7 games and just adding a more competent quarterback play, and that could get you to 9 or 10. They could still get to 9 or 10. They got to go to 500 the rest of the way. Win 5 games. You can have 9 wins, right? And then the year after that, that's when you're the team. Like, that's when you're talking about 11, 12, not worrying about, oh, are we going to go 2-4 in the division, stuff like that. That's when you start competing for playoff, to be a perennial playoff team.
I'm just telling you that you can't. Again, I can hear from players, yeah, we like Eberflus. We like we'll play for the dude, blah, blah, blah. After watching that catastrophic loss and how he has handled it since Sunday, when intelligent football men like Bill Cowher, a Hall of Fame coach who's won a Super Bowl, Bill Cowher came out and said, Coach Eberflus, what are you doing?
No, I get it.
You had 3 timeouts. Take a timeout. What are you thinking there? And to have him with us here on the show, I'll play it after the break. We didn't need a timeout there, guys. We had everything the way we wanted it. No, you didn't.
Who do you think,
double down.
Who's more in crisis mode today? The Bears or the Colts who just benched their starting quarterback? Who had to tap his helmet?
Well, They're in macro crisis.
But that's my point. Is like, would you rather wake up a Bears fan or a Colts fan today? Anthony Richardson's taking himself out of the games because he's too tired, and you have to go to Joe Flacco. Now, Joe Flacco, future Hall of Famer, is a great backup, but still, like you have no answer. That arm could fall off at any minute from Joe Flacco.
Yeah, well, that thing's a mess down there.
That's my point. That is my point. Is because you have the quarterback and a top 10 defense, you are not in crisis mode.
Micro crisis mode.
We have micro, macro. It's crisis or it's not a crisis.
Disagree.